What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the stream. Today we are starting a new series on this channel called Chasing Greatness. This is where we will recreate iconic MLB teams that didn't win a title and give them a second chance in MLB The Show. We'll have a lot of intriguing squads like the 116-win 2001 Seattle Mariners and the Moneyball 2002 Oakland Athletics. In this episode, we're going to kick off the series with my hometown Cubbies and their infamous 2003 team. We'll get to you in a minute. The 2003 Cubs were coming off an abysmal 2002 season that saw them drop 95 games and finish in last place of the NL Central. In the offseason, the franchise moved on from Don Baylor and brought in Mr. Toothpick himself, Dusty Baker, who was fresh off a World Series appearance with the San Francisco Giants. This team was carried by arguably one of the most dominant starting rotation performances of the 21st century. Led by the young, flame-throwing duo of Mark Prior and Kerry Wood, this staff also boasted outstanding performances from another young stud in Carlos Zambrano and the veteran Matt Clement. Together, these starters racked up 987 strikeouts on the season, 125 more than the second-place Diamondbacks. The aforementioned quartet racked up an insane 19.6 WAR, including a ridiculous 7.8 total by Mark Prior. Somehow, that wasn't enough for him to beat out closer Eric Gagne for the Cy Young Award. But let's not talk about that. The lineup was less of a threat than the pitching staff, but it still had guys that could cause pitchers to lose sleep at night. Slammin' Sammy Sosa was still a staple in the middle of the Northsiders lineup at this time, as he slapped another 40 home runs in 2003. Moises Alou was the team leader in WAR at 3.4 as he smacked another 39 home runs to push Sosa for the lead. After these two, though, the lineup lacked a little oomph. There was some hope that former top prospect center fielder Corey Patterson might finally deliver on his promise in his age 23 season. And through his first 83 games, it looked like he had finally arrived. He was slashing an impressive 298, 329, 511, and had already racked up 2.5 WAR. But on July 6th, Patterson suffered a devastating knee injury after an awkward landing running at first base. This was one of the main sparks for the Cubs in acquiring the combination of Kenny Lofton and Aramis Ramirez from the Pittsburgh Pirates at the trade deadline. Ramirez would have a strong second half in his own right, sporting an OPS of 805 in 63 games. But it was Kenny Lofton who was a lightning rod for this offense. At 36 years young, Lofton popped off for a ridiculous 952 OPS to go with 12 stolen bases in just 56 games. The Cubs would finish with an 88-74 record, good for first place in the NL Central. In the NLDS, they took on the Atlanta Braves, who tied for the best record in the majors. The two teams alternated wins over the first four of the five-game series, but the Cubs got the last laugh, winning 5-1 in Atlanta to win the series. This set up a date with the Florida, yes, Florida, not Miami, Marlins in the NLCS. The Marlins were able to snag Game 1, but the Cubs came roaring back to take a commanding 3-1 series lead. They were unfortunately unable to close out the series in Miami as the Marlins took Game 5. With Games 6 and 7 back at the friendly confines, spirits and confidence were high. With Mark Prior on the mound, the Cubs took a 3-1 lead into the 8th inning. Then, well, you know the story. Steve Bartman happened, then Alex Gonzalez happened, and the Marlins pushed 8 runners across home plate in an inning that destroyed the souls of Cubs fans everywhere. The Marlins would take Game 7 handily, and that was all she wrote. The lovable losers were done in yet again by the curse of the Billy Goat. Despite having 3 of the best young starting pitchers in the game, the Cubs core would never come close to a World Series again. Devastating injuries to both superstars Wood and Prior, combined with terrible mismanagement of the roster, led to an extension of Cub fans' pain until the glorious 2016 season. But now it's time for a shot at redemption. The 2003 Cubs have been dropped into the 2024 MLB The Show universe, and here's what they look like. Keep in mind that since I will be just simulating, I did not do anything with likeness, but the ratings and attributes should reflect perfectly to represent each player's 2003 season. I did not do individual pitches for each pitcher either, as pitch data from 2003 is nearly impossible to come by. But from my experience, it should have no effects on simulation performance. The Cubs get a nice benefit in this simulation, as Corey Patterson will be available in this scenario, giving the lineup a much-needed boost. The rotation is filthy as expected, but it should be interesting to see if it is enough to overcome some shortcomings in the bullpen. Taking one last look at the team rankings before we kick this one off, this roster is ranked 7th in the major leagues, 11th in contact, 18th in power, of course 1st in pitching, 26th in defense, and 27th in speed. Comment down below if you think this is going to be enough to win the title. And with that, let's get this one started. So here we are just into the month of June, and the Cubbies have racked up a respectable 32-27 record. That's good for third place in the NL Central, just 4.5 games behind the Cincinnati Reds. Started out pretty hot in the month of April, but cooled off a little bit in the month of May. Nonetheless, sitting in a decent position right now, and well, let's go check and see how some of the guys performed to this point. So checking out the lineups to start, Kenny Lofton has been having a awesome season to start. 947 OPS, 10 stolen bases. Gruntalonic, okay, obviously not hitting for a lot of power. Expected a little bit higher of an average from him, though, but the on-base percentage is pretty decent. Slamming Sammy Sosa just underneath 1,000 OPS. He has only 10 home runs despite that killer slugging at this point, but man, 324 batting average. That's something you don't expect to see from Sammy. Moises Alou also having a pretty good year. He is actually leading Sosa with 12 bombs to this point. Corey Patterson is having himself a pretty good start to the year, 843 OPS. Aramis Ramirez, a little slow. The batting average is worse than expected, but the slugging percentage isn't in a terrible spot. Hesiop Choi hitting against righties, not a bad season so far. Lots of power from him. How many home runs? He has 12 home runs as well. Alex Gonzalez, decent so far. He has 7 home runs to this time. And then Damian Miller, not very good, but Miller a little bit more of a defensive catcher anyways. Looking at the bench players, Paul Bacco, that's a pretty nice slash line for only 46 at-bats. Eric Karros, who is hitting against lefties, not terrible, but, expecting a little bit more, hoping for a little bit more at least. Tom Goodwin, he does have 12 stolen bases, but has been caught 6 times, so not the greatest rates. Would like to see him better suited, as he's supposed to be the speed guy off of the bench. And then finally, Ramon Martinez actually playing really well, so he has 127 at-bats as the main middle infield depth, so pretty good performances from the lineup to this point. So let's go see how the pitchers are doing. So the pitching staff's having some ups and downs. Obviously, Mark Pryor, he's been killing it. Love where that ERA and WHIP are at. Kerry Wood, not too bad. Like him to lower that ERA a little bit, considering he's supposed to be a stud, but not bad. Zambrano and Clement could be a little bit better, but let's go check out their FIPS real quick, see if they're trending in the right direction. So no, Zambrano does not look very good right now, so that's a little bit of a concern. Matt Clement also doesn't look great. So this pitching staff, which is supposed to carry this team, isn't off to the hottest of starts in the 3 and 4 roles here. Now, obviously, Sean Estes, we don't expect much out of him, and the numbers reflect that. Bullpen, a couple guys to point out. Dave Veras has actually pitched pretty well. Mike Reblinger's pitched well. Antonio Alfonseca's been terrible. Kyle Farnsworth's been okay. He has locked down 12 holds, so you can't complain with that. And then Joe Borowski's been pretty good, 13 of 14 in save opportunities to the date so far. So not a bad start. Let's see if they can keep it rolling. I will see you guys at the All-Star break. Now that's what I'm talking about. We are here at the All-Star game, and this team has caught fire in the month of June into the month of July. Taking a look at some of the results there in those 2 months. Let us jump over and see which guys are on the All-Star team and who our top performers have been to this point. Looking at the All-Star roster, Mark Pryor obviously winning a All-Star appearance as one of the starters. Already racked up 205 strikeouts in 137 innings pitched. That is insane. 4.8 WAR, so he is having himself a huge season, as was expected out of him. No other starting pitchers from us. Joe Borowski did find his way into the All-Star game as a closer. He is 23 of 24 on save opportunities. Love to see that. Also, pretty good K numbers on the year for him as well. Checking out the rest of the National League roster to see if we have any guys there that may have made it. Kenny Lofton, he's going to be in as the DH because that is the role he's playing for this squad. Really nice slash line for him at 904 on the OPS, 17 stolen bases, hitting over 300. Kenny is being that dude for this squad. Hopefully he can keep it up and this team can stay hot down the stretch and maybe redeem the demons of the 2003 squad and win a World Series title. Taking a quick look at the standings before we get out of here and move on. See the Cubs sitting there 57-41, only a game and a half up on the Cardinals right now though. So this is looking like a pretty tight battle in the NL Central. Looking at the Cardinals, they have a pretty strong hold on the the National League wild card at the moment. So regardless if we win the division or not, the playoffs are looking pretty good as of this point. So with that being said, I will see you guys as we go into the month of September and hopefully still sitting at the top of the division. See you in a second. Now into the month of September, still looking pretty solid. 14 games over 500 at 75-61. But there's a new team at the top of the NL Central, and it is the Cincinnati Reds, pushing us all the way to third place behind the St. Louis Cardinals, but we are only sitting 2 games out of first place. This NL Central has become a dogfight in this season. Can the 2003 Cubs roster pull it off? I remember they had a pretty good September back in 2003, so maybe they can catch that magic and find lightning in a bottle once more and become NL Central Division champs. Let's go see what happens. And here we are at the end of the season, and I have some good news, some bad news, and some weird news. The good news is we're going to make the playoffs. The bad news is it's not going to be because we were NL Central champions. The Cincinnati Reds have taken the NL Central crown, beating us by 4 games. A little disappointing. Was hoping this team could win a division title to avoid the wild card round, but it wasn't meant to be. And the weird news is, check out the record, 88-74. That was the 2003 Chicago Cubs record. So the first simulation of this series is an identical record match to the team that we replicated. I just think that's kind of funny. So before we jump into the playoffs, let us go jump and see how the guys in the squad performed and who was our studs and duds. Starting first with the hitters, Kenny Lofton was our top WAR player at 3.9. Outstanding slash line for him, 846 OPS, only 23 stolen bases, which I would have expected a little bit more out of him, but he doesn't have the greatest running stats, so I guess that does make some sense. Moises Alou, our second player with a 3.4 WAR. Pretty good season out of him, 838 OPS. He smacked 27 homers. Corey Patterson was able to stay healthy all season, mostly because they turned injuries all the way off, so nothing for him to worry about. He added 23 home runs to the team with a 741 OPS. Alex Gonzalez actually up there, not mostly for his bat, but more for his defense. Actually hit for a decent amount of power, but the OPS wasn't great either. 22 home runs to boot, though. Damian Miller playing catcher, obviously going to be ranked up there because of the way that the game calculates the defense. Not a great season at the plate, but that was to be expected. Slam and Sammy Sosa. This is a season. 935 OPS, almost hit 300, stole 4 bases as well. Didn't quite get to his home run total of 40 bombs, but did hit 32. So overall, pretty solid season in the power department, I would say. Grudjelanic did get his average up to 273 for a solid OPS of 746. Hee-Seop Choi, on-base percentage and slugging percentage were in good spots, so can't complain about his performance against right-handed pitching. Tom Goodwin did swipe 26 bags, although he was caught 12 times. Average wasn't bad at a 263 either. Eric Karros hitting against the weak side of the platoon. Pretty good numbers there at an 836 OPS. Paul Bacco in a reserve catching role. Pretty good year as well. I don't know. Maybe we should have considered him at starting catcher instead of Damian Miller. I don't know. Looks like Bacco might have been the better all-around catcher in this season. Aramis Ramirez was disappointing. OPS only of 686. Yeah, not what we were hoping to get out of him. Definitely got a better performance out of him in real life for the 2003 Cubs, although he did smack 22 homers. And then finally, Ramon Martinez kind of slipped during the tail end of the season. I know he started off pretty hot in that bench role, but the final numbers, not so pretty. Looking at the pitchers, man, Mark Prior was outstanding. He might have won the Cy Young Award. We'll have to check in on that. But he ended up with 310 strikeouts and 224 innings pitched. That is crazy. Old school strikeout numbers with that many innings pitched. You love to see it. Kerry Wood also had a pretty good year, 3.2 WAR. His ERA a little bit inflated, but the FIP was pretty good. Matt Clement was solid. He did also throw for 200 innings. Mike Remlinger was that dude out of the bullpen. 51 innings, 75 strikeouts. Love the K rate there. 1.4 WAR as a reliever is really good in this game. He actually was outpacing Carlos Zambrano, who was underwhelming. So this top-flight pitching staff was pretty good, but Zambrano was expected to be one of the top dogs, and he just didn't quite live up to it. Looks like he was giving up a lot more home runs than you normally would have expected out of him. Juan Cruz wasn't that great in a long relief role. 130 innings. I wish the bullpen logic wasn't so terribly broken in this game, because Cruz only threw like 60 innings in 2003, so this is an insane number of innings for him to pitch, but it is what it is. Antonio Fonseca, he was pretty good. Borowski was awesome. Only the one WAR, which is interesting to me, but pretty good FIP out of him. He was 38 of 41 on save opportunities, so really good from him. Todd Wellemeyer was okay. Sean Estes was actually probably better than I would have expected. Mark Guthrie, actually not terrible. I expected him to have like a 6 ERA as well. Kyle Farnsworth, not as good as we would have hoped. He did lock down 30 holds, picked up 2 saves, but he blew 7 saves. So not the best performance out of him. Dave Veras also just okay. Nothing too outstanding, but also not terrible. So, all right, let me go make sure that everybody's on the playoff roster who's supposed to be, and let's see who we're playing in round 1. Actually, before we jump to the series, we have a couple of awards and league leaders to check out. So for the league leaders, Mark Prior obviously led in strikeouts, 310. ERA also, innings pitched, and pitching WAR. This dude has to be the National League Cy Young Award winner. We'll go check that out in a second. Jumping over there, yes, he is the Cy Young Award winner. Rookie of the year, obviously, but we're not going to worry about that. All these guys are technically rookies. So moving over to the Cy Young, yeah, he did beat out Tyler Glasnow, and it wasn't particularly close. Mark Prior just killed it this year, just like he did in real life. Outstanding. All right, we are going to be taking on the St. Louis Cardinals in this wild card round. Mark Prior versus Sonny Gray, Kerry Wood versus Steven Matz. You got to like the matchup in these first 2 games for the 2003 Cubs. And then in game 3, Carlos Zambrano versus Zach Thompson. I think you got to like that one on paper as well. But let's see if we can close it out in the first 2 games here. So Mark Prior versus Sonny Gray. Nope, that's a loss. Kerry Wood versus Steven Matz. That's a win. All right, game 3, Carlos Zambrano. Can Big Z bring it home for the 2003 Cubs? Yes, he can, and they're going to be moving on to take on the Dodgers. Ooh, this is going to be a tough series going to LA to start. Let me go shake out the rotation to see who's going to be throwing where, and we will get this one on the road as well. So I am going to be throwing Mark Prior out there for this one. He's going to be on 3 days rest, but if you remember the 2000s Cubs and Dusty Baker's usage of Mark Prior and Kerry Wood, it was insane. So I feel like in this scenario right here, Mark Prior and Kerry Wood would absolutely be pitching on 3 days rest. So let's see what's going to happen. Prior is going to be taking on Shohei Ohtani. What a clash of the Titans that one is going to be. And Prior comes out victorious over Ohtani in a 3-1 victory. Let's see. Was it a pitching duel? Cubs got 2 in the first. Both teams scored in the third, and that was it from there. Bullpens looks like they stood tall. Prior, 8 innings, 13 Ks. Whew! Over to Shohei. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 3 runs, so Prior definitely got the upper hand in that one. Now, Kerry Wood taking on Tyler Glasnow, the runner-up to Mark Prior in the NL Cy Young Award race. What can big old Carey do? Oh, 11-2 victory for the 2003 Cubbies. Looks like they smashed Tyler Glasnow. Scrolling now to take a look at Carey Wood. He pitched 8 innings, 2-run ball, 10 strikeouts. Sosa hit a home run, and Corey Patterson hit 2 of them things. Oh, man, Tyler Glasnow could only make it through 4 innings, gave up 3 earned, and then the bullpen just got torched of the Dodgers. All right, Big Z taking on Walker Buehler. This is another good matchup. Man, the Dodgers pitching rotation is deep, so it gives them a really good chance against this really good rotation of the Cubs. And game 3 is going to go to... Big Z got lit up. 10-0 there. Oh, man. Walker Buehler, no, shutout. Nice outing from him. Not so good from Big Z. Couldn't even get through the second inning, giving up 6 earned runs, and then Estes gave up the other 4. So we're going into Matt Clement taking on Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Man, this Dodgers rotation is insane. Clement getting his first start of these playoffs. Oh, it's going to be game 5. Looks like a big-time pitcher's duel here. Yamamoto pitched 6 strong, struck out 6, only gave up 1 earned run. Switching over to us, Matt Clement, pretty good outing. 7 strikeouts in 7 innings, only the 2 earned runs. Slam and Sammy hit a home run. Patterson had a triple. Nice, but it looks like the hero of the game was Shohei Ohtani, who drove in 2 with an RBI double in the 4th inning, and that was all the Dodgers needed to win that pivotal game 4. And now it comes down to this. Mark Prior versus Shohei Ohtani. How many of y'all would love to see this matchup in real life? Prime Mark Prior versus Prime Shohei Ohtani. Who's going to the National League Championship Series? It's going to be the 2003 Cubs. Prior beats Ohtani for a second time. Looks like it was turned over to the bullpens. Prior 6 2/3, 7 hits, 7 Ks, only 1 earned. The bullpen was team shut it down. Kyle Farnsworth picked up the victory, and Joe Borowski slammed the door shut. And big slam and Sammy Sosa with 2 long ones. Oh, a solo bomb and a 2-run shot. We scored 2 in the 9th is what happened. Oh, man, who blew the save here? Michael Grove is going to be saddled with the loss. Blake Trinan looks like he gave up a run in that inning as well. So the Cubs are able to break through in that 9th inning and get the victory Prior over Ohtani. Big victory. So we're going to be taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks here in the National League Championship Series. Let me go shake out the rotation real fast, and I'll be right back. All right, only made one quick change. We're going to have Mark Prior pitching game 3. Kerry Wood and Carlos Zambrano in the first 2 games. Got to be honest, I'm pretty happy to see that the 2003 Cubs were able to make it back to the National League Championship Series, and they have an opportunity to redeem themselves in the first episode of Chasing Greatness. So we're going to have Kerry Wood taking on Zach Gallen in game 1. Arizona gets the win in an advantage I thought was leaning towards the Cubs. Looks like a blown save by Joe Borowski. Let us scroll down and see if that was the case. Yeah, it looks like he tried to come on in the 8th inning. Farnsworth might have gotten into some trouble, and Borowski could not hold the lead. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Home runs from Kenny Lofton and Hee-Seop Choi. Zach Gallen pitched a strong outing, but nothing too outstanding. But the bullpen, team shut it down for the Diamondbacks, and that is a game 1 victory. So we're going to have to rely on Big Z trying to bounce back from his last start where he got just wrecked. Taking on Jordan Montgomery. Oh no, they're down 2-0, losing both of them at home. Go back to this one. Looks like the bullpen blew it again. Oh, Big Z, okay start. Estes pitched 5 innings somehow, and this game was lost in extra innings. Mike Remlinger could not work out of jam in the 12th inning. Looking at the Diamondbacks pitchers, bullpen was flawless. No runs allowed in 6 innings pitched for the bullpen. See if anybody hit any home runs. Corbin Carroll had a triple I saw, and Sosa had another home run, but it wasn't enough. And now The Cubs are backs against the wall, but they got Mark Pryor on the mound in Game 3. Can they pull it out against Eduardo Rodriguez? No, they're down 3-0, and Mark Guthrie saddled with the loss. It looks like the Cubs tried to come back after giving up a 4 spot in the 4th. That means that was probably off of Pryor. Yes, he gave up 4 runs in that 4th inning. Cubs did get a 4 spot in the 7th. Home runs from Grudzielanek and Sosa. But again, the Diamondbacks bullpen after Miguel Castro coming up clutch to get the Game 3 victory. And all hopes of the 2003 Cubs trying to redeem themselves for that terrible, terrible way that season ended lie with Matt Clement against Zach Gallen. And it is a straight sweep. The Diamondbacks have taken down the 2003 Chicago Cubs. There will be no redemption tour. The 2003 Cubs are out of the playoffs in the NLCS once again. Oh, man. I guess it's a little less heartbreaking than the last time they were here, but still, that is disappointing. The top flight pitching staff, which pitched actually pretty well against the menace of a lineup of the Dodgers, just could not hold up against the Diamondbacks. Had some issues with the bullpen guys as well. Actually, some of the numbers there don't look so bad, so I guess it really wasn't on the bullpen guys. I guess everything just kind of fell apart there in the championship round. Looking at the performances in the playoffs, Slam and Sammy had 6 bombs, hit 310 in the playoffs. Lou hit 348, and Patterson hit 370. So the middle of the Cubs order was definitely cooking here, but it was not meant to be in this scenario. And unfortunately, the 2003 Cubs will not be able to redeem themselves in this first episode of Chasing Greatness. Disappointing end to this one, but hey, I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you are excited for this series. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think the next team on tap is probably going to be the 2001 Seattle Mariners, so that'll be a fun one to look out for. But in the meantime, between time, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'm gone. Deuces.